Welcome back, writers. Today, we are going to be test driving a character from our story because that's what good authors do. We're going to test drive them through scenarios that we might experience or they might in everyday life so that we have a better understanding of who that character is that we're writing about. Let's go. Writers, a while back, I went to a writing conference. And at that writing conference, I was given some advice to take my character in my story through everyday life things. And in doing that, I would learn more about my character. And I did. And I took them through a regular old scene like getting ready for bed. And I understood finally that when you fully understand a character, the character ends up writing the scene for you. Speaking of scenes, what we need to do is not going to involve any summary writing. Instead, we are going to have to make sure that we write detailed about a scene and that we start that scene right in the middle of it. So let's take a look at what a scene should have. Scenes are small moment stories, or mini stories. So if we're thinking about the course of a whole story, this scene is just a tiny moment inside. Next, we include a clear setting that is woven throughout the moment. In other words, the setting has an effect on the story. Next, we have characters who think, talk, act, or perhaps they're doing all of these things. We don't just have a character who only talks the whole time. And finally, we contain a character, motivation, and something that gets in the way of what's driving them, something that gets in the way of their goal, called an obstacle. Writers, if you didn't add this to your journal, make sure you pause right now and do that. Okay, writers, we're going through a boot camp. That's right, Meg. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to pretend I'm a drill sergeant. Anyways, in our boot camp, we are going to be going fast. And there's going to be times where a suggestion that I make is not something that would work for your scene. Or you might fall behind and need to stop the video or pause it. I encourage you to keep up, but if you need to, feel free to pause at any point if I'm getting way too ahead of you. So I'm going to try to think about things that are affecting him. I could think about his parents and whether that affects my character. However, I'm not really sure that does. So at the very least, I'm going to write down his name. I'm going to call him Derek for now. And it's actually the person I almost got in a fight with. So that's kind of where I took this idea from. And that's how I was inspired. Okay, next, I need to think about a dominate trait that my character has. And oddly enough, I think that my character is a peacemaker. I actually think that they want everyone to be happy around them. And also, I feel like they have a hard time saying no. One of the reasons that I put those things down is I actually think that I'm a little bit like that. And so even though I'm not telling you that you need to do this, I'm kind of thinking about, boy, what if at some point when I was younger, I realized that I was a bully? How would I confront that? So along the same lines of what I wanted when I was a kid, I wanted to be everyone's friend. But I guess I realized that over time, those friends are really not close to me. Never really tries hard to be friends with everyone or anyone. Along those same lines, I think my character is happy to be in his own world. Now, writers, go ahead, try this right now with your story idea. Now, if you're not completely committed to your idea, just pick one that you think you're most likely to go with out of all the ideas that you have. Think a bit about that main character, then jot your thoughts really quickly in your notebook. Okay, writers, I'm going to move on to the back side of the page I'm currently on, and I'm going to try writing the scene now that I know a little bit about my character. And in the scene, I'm just choosing a random part of school that's a kind of an ordinary part of the day. I'm just going to choose lunch. Okay, so in wandering into the lunchroom and noticing all the faces around and continuing to walk forward, I'm really playing into what my character's personality is. That, I'm not really necessarily thinking I want to go sit with anyone in particular. And so now, I blandly say like, oh, not much. Because I don't know, I'm not really trying to offend anyone. I'm just saying hi, noticing people. So I included some things about the setting. So I mentioned that there were some totally empty tables where special education students would normally sit. Okay, so then continuing on, this girl runs up to me and says hi, and now I'm wondering what other people are thinking, because again, this is kind of part of my personality, and I want friends and I want to fit in all that kind of stuff, but I'm kind of a little bit mixed up in my head as far as that goes. And now, I specifically point out where those jocks are sitting because I want to include parts of this scene as far as the setting goes. So I want you to really notice that I tried to make sure that I created and generated the traits for my characters. I talked a little bit about, that in the beginning, my character wasn't really sure where they were going, which fits with my character. I didn't talk about how much they wanted friends or anything as far as that goes specifically, but I definitely was exploring my character's relationship with others, or sort of how I was laid back with those relationships. And in doing this scene, I really made sure that I included dialogue, setting, I showed feelings. I really made sure that my character was active in some way, that they were doing something. And even though their personality is a little bit passive, they were still doing something with that passive personality. Okay, writers, as soon as I'm done talking here, you're going to pause your video, and I want you to add this as a new page. After your scenes page. You might have went around to the back side already. Remember, it doesn't really matter as long as they're in the right order. And this new page should be called How to Write Compelling Fiction. It shouldn't really be anything new to you. However, I specifically wrote down some of the strategies that we've talked about today. The first one being brainstorm a really awesome idea. Check, we've got that. We've done that before. Second is figure out what kind of character you have. And the final one is take them for a test drive. And on this chart, you see there's specific ways that we do that. Writers, you have options today. Depending on where you're at, you might decide you're ready to write long about a character and develop them. However, some of you may not have found that perfect story idea yet. And that means you're going to be working the hardest out of all of us. You are going to spend today really making sure that you find that perfect story idea, which I know doesn't exist, but you have to feel like the story idea that you have right now is something that you'll be comfortable writing about for a while. Hey, I didn't see you there. Well, here's the deal. Let's get this camera up just a little bit, shall we? Writing about a character to discover what they're like can be challenging. But as I just found out, it can be super rewarding. And now, before we see you next time, your homework is really to examine your character from their own eyes. You just made them. You just wrote those words down on paper that decided what they're going to be like. And now you need to start to see things through their eyes. You need to start to, as you write more, as you add another page of writing to this story we're developing, start to think, what would my character do? Start to see everything through their eyes. And I guarantee you, if you do that, your character won't need any more development because they'll be a living, breathing person. Writers, until next time, happy writing.